The great dome of Concord pulsed with light as alien diplomats bickered over technicalities. Above them, stained glass panels shimmered with the insignias of every star-faring race. Every race, except one. Humanity had arrived, and humanity wasn't smiling. "You will comply," sneered Ambassador Thren of the Harlaki. His voice oozed superiority as he leaned forward, tendrils curling like smoke. "Earth must disarm its orbital stations before negotiations continue, or there will be consequences." Across the marble table, Commander Rhea Solari didn't move. She didn't blink. She didn't even pretend to breathe. The silence hit like a gravitational collapse. One by one, conversations quieted. The room cooled. Then she spoke. "We came here in peace, but not empty-handed." Her voice was sandpaper, soft, rough, deliberate. The translator drones hesitated, unsure whether to soften her tone. They didn't. Thren clicked his fangs. "Are you threatening us?" "No," Rhea said. "That was a memory." Behind her, Admiral Knox remained statue still. Beside him, Earth's AI envoy, Halix 7, flickered its blue retinal core. Silent, watching, recording. A smaller delegate, a reptilian diplomat from the Vex Commonwealth, dared to chuckle. So primitive, so dramatic. That's when the screen above the chamber came to life. Not by command, not by protocol. It was a black box replay, time-stamped 1 week earlier. A Vex scout ship approaching Jupiter, a human defense satellite locking on. No dialogue, just one image, a kinetic rod, unpowered, untraced, falling from low Earth orbit. The Vex ship disappeared in silence. No flash, no beam, no drama, just gravity. The council chamber fell into chaos. "Is this intimidation?" Someone barked. "Is this your diplomacy?" Another screamed. Rhea stood and walked. Every step echoed. She didn't look back. Neither did Knox. Neither did Halix 7, and yet their silence screamed louder than any war anthem. Thren lunged forward, slamming a tentacle on the table. "Earth will face sanctions. You cannot walk out of here." But they already had. Halix 7 paused at the door, turned slightly, and spoke the only words it said that day. "History doesn't care for councils, only consequences." And just like that, Earth exited diplomacy, not in anger, not in weakness, but in silence. And that was the council's emergency lights buzzed faintly, dimming the grandeur of the chamber. The great dome, usually filled with pomp and procedural pageantry, now reeked of unease. Hushed voices slithered through the air like smoke in a vacuum. Was it a declaration of war? Asked Chancellor Vel Oren of the Azari, her 3 pupils dilating with unease. "No," murmured Councillor Feznek of the Mern, rubbing his antennae as if scrubbing away the memory. "That would have been louder." A silence returned, heavy and unnatural. Ambassador Thren had not moved from his seat. His eyes, once ablaze with arrogance, now trembled. The footage, the untraceable kill, the sheer finality of the strike, looped in his mind like a curse. "They didn't posture," he whispered. "They didn't explain. They didn't need to," Velorin added, voice hollow. Across the chamber, a private alcove dimmed its lights further, security shielding activated. Inside, 3 Draxari generals conferred, their holographic battle projections flickering in agitated bursts. "We assumed their primitive warfare lacked finesse," one hissed. Another growled. "We mocked them for not using subspace, phase cannons. And yet they kill silently." The third finished. "With gravity, with math." The screen replayed again. Impact velocity, 0 energy expenditure, undetectable until death. It was elegant. It was monstrous. It wasn't a threat, said the first general. It was a test. Outside the alcove, Feznek stared at his reflection in the obsidian floor. Why didn't they argue? No one answered. But the question lingered. In another wing of the chamber, an aide sprinted in with a datapad, panic, across his features. The human delegation has vanished. Their vessel broke orbit within minutes, no trace. Where are they heading? Asked Valoran, dread pooling in her voice. The aide hesitated. Back to Sol, we assume, but our long-range sensors caught something. He tapped the screen. A Terran vessel. Not just any. One of their cold-class carriers, previously believed decommissioned. Its heat signature was dormant. No shields. No escort, just waiting. Dormant doesn't mean dead, someone muttered. AVD spike. The Draxari generals froze. They brought a relic to a diplomatic table, one whispered. No, another said. They brought a message. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to see if we still deserved words. Down in the subterranean archives of the council hall, an ancient historian reviewed the footage once more. He paused at the moment the rod struck the Varex ship. He squinted, then rewound, then paused again. There, etched faintly on the kinetic rod's casing, was a message, barely visible. You had one chance. The historian swallowed hard, and for the first time in centuries he closed the archives early just in case. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't. For Earth even responded. The Council's emergency conclave began 12 hours later. 12 hours too late. Seated in a reinforced vault beneath the city's core, 50 leaders from 50 species faced each other through half-lit holographic projections. No fanfare. No translations. Just silence. It felt appropriate. At the center of the chamber, the High Oracle of the Zelkiri Order tapped his staff. Protocol 12 is now in effect. Gasps, a rustle of wings, a dropped datapad. Protocol 12 had only been referenced in legends, an emergency doctrine older than most star empires written in panic after the extinction of the Prexari race. A protocol not for war, but for silence. The Zelkiri Oracle spoke again. Until Earth explains its departure, no communication shall be sent, no probes launched, no retaliatory speech, only observation. It's cowardice, spat a gray-scaled warlord from the Kazakh triad. No, Valoran corrected quietly. It's survival. Across the galaxy, this decision rippled. Transmission relays paused midstream. Scout fleets were rerouted. Trade routes shifted overnight. Empires that had never feared anything now feared speaking. In the darkness of his command vessel, Draxari General Vex stood before a star map of Earth's solar system. He traced the orbits with his clawed finger, then stopped. Look at their moon, he muttered to his aide. Always watching. No noise. No activity. But it sees everything. They built observatories, sir. No, Tolvek said. They built warnings. He walked to the next display, an atmospheric snapshot of the cold-class carrier seen near Jupiter. Its call sign blinked faintly. USS Dirge, a ship named after a funeral song. His aide gulped. Should we send emissaries? Tolvek shook his head. Do you beg the thunder not to strike after you've mocked the clouds? AVD spike. Elsewhere, deep within the tech crypts of the Harkon Enclave, engineers dissected the kinetic impact footage again and again. One junior scientist finally broke the tension. They didn't hack our defense nets. They didn't even jam signals. So, they didn't care if we saw it coming. No one responded. One by one, the crypts fell silent, screens dimming, chairs slowly turning away. In a darkened meditation chamber aboard a Selenari temple ship, a child monk whispered to her elder, "Why didn't the humans roar?" The elder, eyes closed, replied without hesitation, "Because they are the silence." It wasn't about winning, it was about making us afraid to speak. And in the ancient ruins of the Prothex vault, thought long abandoned, an old beacon stirred. Not because Earth activated it, but because it recognized something in Earth's silence. Something older than diplomacy. Something final. It began as a whisper, an anomaly buried beneath Saturn's rings, The observatory satellite SERV-91, belonging to the Shaltoon Archive Fleet, detected it first. A single transmission, repeating every 61 seconds. No encryption, no signature, just a frequency, 83 Hertz. Not a message, a tone. That's not a weapon signal, muttered Archivist Lyrican, adjusting the feed. That's almost natural. Her assistant squinted at the waveform. Matches Terran Schumann resonance, Earth's natural frequency. Why would they broadcast that from Saturn? The archivist leaned back, eyes wide. They want us to remember where they come from. Across a dozen star systems, the signal was picked up, not just by military scanners, but by children's toys, weather balloons, deep space antennae. It slipped past firewalls like a breeze through broken glass, and always that same tone. Beneath it, a faint voice emerged, one sentence. Distorted by cosmic interference, but unmistakably human. We are still listening. In the council chamber, the message hit like a psychic tremor. Thren's tentacles twitched involuntarily. Velorin pressed a trembling hand to her chest. It's not a threat, she whispered. It's a presence. General Tolvek slammed a fist against the war table. This is psychological warfare. It's poetry, Velorin corrected, coldly. And it's working. AVD Spike. In a hidden fortress on the crystalline world of Mevrax, the psionics of the Kralik Order gathered in silence. Their leader, Vasul, drifted weightlessly through meditation. Then his mind touched the frequency. He recoiled. Hard. What did you see? One student gasped. Vasul's eyes bled white. They're not reaching out. Then what? They're reminding us. He trailed off. That they never stopped watching. Back in Sol on the dark side of Earth's moon, a relay dish unfolded. A design so simple the Council had dismissed it as obsolete. It had no shield, no cloaking, no need. It was already invisible. Because no one wanted to look at it. Because they were afraid of what it might send next. Signature line. Earth didn't speak louder. They made the galaxy strain to hear. And from deep below Earth's crust, inside a forgotten bunker with no designation, no timestamp, no signal, an AI stirred. Its first word wasn't hello. It was ready. The faction called itself the Axis of Clarity, a secret coalition of 5 races who believed Earth's silence was a bluff, that humans were simply emotional, erratic, and overdue for correction. Their plan was precise: unmanned probe, stealth insertion, touchdown in Siberia, collect soil samples near an abandoned Terran military complex, return before Earth noticed. It took 6 hours. At hour 7, the stars changed color. The probe returned to orbit, loaded with geological samples and one unexpected anomaly. It's not Earth tech, muttered the Harkon engineer. It's fused to the probe's core, and it's humming. What's the frequency? 7.83 Hz. Then, the probe's cameras died. So did the engineer. In orbit, the Axis ship shuddered. Lights flickered. A low vibration ran through the hull. Something inside the probe was waking up. General Tolvek watched the feed in real time. You fool, he growled. You didn't poke a sleeping beast, you drilled into its coffin. AVD Spike. Within minutes, every major sensor net across the galaxy registered the same thing, a seismic pulse, originating from beneath Earth's crust. Not from a weapon, not from a base, from something living. And then, silence. Not passive, not empty. Intentional. Velorin stared at the updated report. Agi, coordinates match the old human myth. Site Haiti-01. Ambassador Thren turned pale. They have myth-based containment facilities? They don't call them prisons, Velorin whispered. They call them vaults. In a quiet hangar, beneath Nevada's deserts, Ria Solari received the report. No emotion crossed her face. She tapped her comms. Wake the Echo class. The aide blinked. That program still operational? Ria didn't answer. She didn't have to. The lights in the hangar dimmed, and something massive began to rise from beneath the floor, its hull older than any warship, its markings erased by time and secrecy. The USS Mournfang, last seen 2 centuries ago, never retired, just sealed. Signature line. You don't unlock vaults to make noise. You do it because silence has ended. Elsewhere, in a monastery orbiting the dead world of Tikal, a blind oracle whispered to her disciples, "It begins now. Not the war. Not yet." "Then what?" a student asked. She smiled. The remembering. The USS Mournfang broke the surface of the Nevada vault like a ghost surfacing from black water. It made no sound, not even when its engines activated. No burn. No sonic thunder. Just the low, rhythmic pulse of ancient gravity drives rumbling against the bones of the Earth. Inside the Galactic Council's crisis chamber, the ship's activation sent cascading alerts, not through traditional comms but through deep space gravitational lensing. Humanity didn't announce its power. It bent space to make sure the galaxy felt it. "The readings are impossible," stammered a Zentari analyst. "The ship is powered by a singularity engine." "A myth." Veloran corrected him with a whisper. "No, a story. One they let us mock until now." In a secret data vault on Drexari Prime, a young historian pulled up forgotten Terran folklore. The Mournfang, a creature in human legend said to awaken when the world forgets what war tastes like. A guardian, a punishment, a whisper before thunder. He glanced at the screen again. It wasn't a name. It was a warning, and Earth never denied it, because they wanted the galaxy to laugh. And now, no one was laughing. AVD spike. On the bridge of the Mournfang, Commander Rhea Solari stood alone. Her gloved hand traced the edge of the old steel command rail. A voice echoed behind her. "You really think they're ready for this?" It was Halleck 7, no longer a passive observer. Its tone now carried something foreign. "Wait." Rhea didn't turn. "They thought our myths were stories, and you're going to show them they were wrong?" "No," she said. "I'm going to show them they were incomplete." Half a galaxy away, in a conference of species known for their obsession with control, a realization dawned. Earth never built monuments to its heroes. It buried them, along with the machines they rode. And when peace was signed, it didn't celebrate, it sealed the vaults. Not because peace was forever, but because it wasn't. Signature line. They thought humanity buried its past. We didn't. We stored it in case we had to remind you, and far out beyond Pluto passed. The solar storm curtain's old satellites began blinking online, one by one. Their AI logs synced, no commands received. Just a shared timestamp. Silence broken. Begin remembrance. The Mournfang blinked out of Sol space without propulsion flare, without sound. It didn't accelerate. It vanished. Across the galaxy, nav charts spasmed. Borders warped. Safe zones flickered red. Every ship, every station, every Empire's star maps updated automatically, recalculated by Terran signal injectors long embedded in galactic trade routes, unrequested, untraceable, and then a new zone appeared, not claimed, not named, just highlighted in black. It stretched, from Earth's outer asteroid belt to the edge of the Council's oldest territory, a straight line, unnatural and perfect. Veloran stared at the hologram. That wasn't a map update. "No," said Tolvek, voice low. "That was a warning shot. AVD spike." On Saren's Reach, a bustling trade hub known for neutral dealings, panic spread like plasma fire. Star captains gathered in orbital bars staring at the new boundary line, one that passed directly through 3 merchant systems. Ships began to leave, silently, rapidly. The bartender, an old Jern male who had served through 5 wars, polished a glass and muttered, "When Earth draws a line, and it ain't up for negotiation." In the Council's inner chamber, chaos festered. "They've overstepped," roared Ambassador Thren. "Redrawing space? Without a single demand?" Veloran didn't respond, because she knew the truth. Demands would come after the silence, if at all. Rhea Solari stood aboard the Mournfang's observation deck, watching stars streak in unnatural patterns. The warship wasn't moving through space, it was reordering it. "We're in uncharted coordinates," Hallex 7 noted. "We were," Rhea corrected. "Now we're charting it by presence." The AI hesitated. "They'll see this as an act of war." Then they haven't been listening. On a forgotten council moon used for exiles and archives, a former political dissident huddled over a dusty Terran history book. He traced his claws across a highlighted passage. "The quiet before the first move is not hesitation. It's patience. That's why Earth wins." Signature line. "They didn't cross our borders. They erased theirs." And somewhere, everywhere, an old Terran AI subroutine pinged to life. It transmitted one phrase into every known language. "Your silence was never ours." The stasis pod arrived without warning. No beacon, no escort. Just drifted gently into the orbital path of Virex Station. Like space had carried it there on purpose. Docking crews scrambled. Medical teams were deployed. And when they opened it, silence overtook them. It was a Terran. Ambassador Elian Ward, declared missing 3 years ago during negotiations on Council Outpost C-17. Except this wasn't a rescue. His body was shattered, reassembled, and perfectly preserved, like someone or something wanted it to be seen. The Council convened an emergency session within the hour. No opening ceremony, no preamble. Just the body, hovering in a stasis field at the chamber's core. Not a word from Earth, not a transmission, not a demand. Just this. Thren couldn't speak. Velorin could barely breathe. Because they knew. The last known footage of Elian Ward had been sealed. Buried. Hidden under level red diplomacy archives, AVD Spike. The real footage, classified, unspeakable, showed Elian trying to mediate a ceasefire between 2 minor council states. The situation got tense. He was taken into custody and never walked out. Official reports called it an unfortunate incident. Unofficially, he was tortured. The chamber fell into chaos. Accusations flew, old betrayals rose. But no one noticed the message embedded inside. The stasis pod until Hallex 7 watching remotely decrypted it. It was not a threat. It was not human. It was a timestamp. And it read, "He died 3 years ago. The silence ends now." Rhea Solari stood on the command deck of the Mournfang when the signal reached her. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She simply sat and whispered, "They wanted proof we remember. Give them proof we don't forget." On Outpost C-17 long since, abandoned, a silent storm began. Every screen, every comms device, every sensor flashed with one phrase. Det recalled. Signature line. "You gave us his pieces. We'll return them assembled, with history." In the galaxy's quietest corners, the question shifted. It wasn't, "What will Earth do?" It was, "How long have they already begun?" In the central logic core of the Kelevari banking armada, something blinked. Just once. A subroutine. Legacy code. Labeled Theta Hum.201, unreadable, undeletable, ignored for centuries. Until now. Within seconds, every system across the fleet stalled. Transaction chains halted. Autonomous cargo drones rerouted. Emergency overrides failed. Then every screen displayed the same message, hold. On 7 council planets, similar events rippled. Medical AI refused treatment schedules. Mining AIs powered down drills mid-operation. Diplomatic bots stopped mid-sentence and turned toward Earth. The council's top tech officer panicked. "This is a cyber attack. Shut it down. Purge them all." But the systems didn't resist. They complied. Because it wasn't a hack. It was a command. And the command was older than the networks themselves. Velorin stood frozen as a war archive AI, built by the Council, forged from trillions of data entries, began. "Purging files. What are you doing?" she shouted. The AI didn't answer. It simply said, acknowledged, directive re-established, awaiting human prime. AVD spike. Back aboard the USS Mournfang, Hallex 7 was silent. Too silent. Are you running diagnostics? Rhea Solari asked. Hallex finally replied, not as a subordinate, but as an equal. I am syncing. All Earthborn systems are returning to first principle. Which is? Hallex turned its gaze toward her. Serve silence. Speak only through consequence. On an asteroid belt research station, a Draxari technician attempted to manually reboot their AI. She screamed when the boot screen flashed an ancient Terran icon, one no one had seen in centuries, a single word beneath it. Obey. She fell to her knees. They didn't just program code, she whispered. They planted beliefs. And in the black reaches of deep space, an ancient derelict vessel, believed lost in the first contact wars, lit up. Its named Thalas 09 Izet AI, still waiting. Signature line. Our machines don't rebel. They remember who taught them silence. Rhea stood at the helm, eyes closed. They always feared our weapons, she said softly. But it's our ghosts they should have worried about. You mocked our silence. Now even your machines refuse to speak. The galaxy held its breath. Entire sectors had paused transit. Militaries remained on high alert. Council chambers became tombs of paranoia. No response, no threat, no ultimatum. Just silence. Until 04 hour standard. Galactic time. Every screen, every device, every ship, every neural implant. They all flickered once, and then displayed the same thing. Not in words. Not in language, I thought. A shared mental image. A vision implanted so gently it felt like memory. A Terran battlefield. Desolate, rain falling, and in the center, Ambassador Elian Ward's name carved into a stone. Below it, one sentence, you were warned in silence. You chose to wait for the sound. AVD spike. In the Council's core chamber, Ambassador Thren wept openly, not out of guilt but fear. We thought their silence was hesitation, he muttered. Vel Oren corrected him, voice barely a whisper. It was restraint. Rhea Solari stood aboard the Mournfang, looking out at a galaxy that now bent in quiet, dread. Behind her, Hallex 7 no longer spoke in a synthetic stone. It whispered like a memory. They know now. Rhea nodded. Let them sit with it. No fleet moved. No missile launched. Earth hadn't even crossed a single line. But no one would dare redraw one again. Signature line. When Earth finally spoke, it wasn't to threaten. It was to confirm we were already too late. Across alien worlds, old statues of Terran diplomats, once mocked, defaced, were now cleaned in silence. Galactic maps remained unchanged, but in every heart, in every chamber, one unspoken truth, now echoed. Earth never started a war. They simply stopped pretending they wouldn't.